Okay, welcome back to the Adventures of Claudette in Dark Souls 3. Our lovely, beefy woman. Starting off by getting rid of this person, because they will hurt our friend if we don't. So, for this particular video, I thought that we'd try something different. I thought we'd try adding in the voiceover after the fact as opposed to doing a live commentary. Haven't decided yet which style I'm gonna stick with on a more permanent basis, but I figured that we'd give this a shot. I think the audio quality might turn out to be a little bit better, because I have a better mic on my headset that I can't record from direct from the Xbox, because I have no hardware or capture card. It'll also give me the chance to actually focus on better commentary because I'm not actively trying to play the game. So, we just left the Church of Yorska. We have to go down through the Boreal Valley area, down through the river to get to the next bonfire, and then come up to reach Pontiff+Aldritch. That's the next boss on our hit list. We're done in that graveyard area. Picked up the items we needed from there. These guys, the little shadowy dudes, they're super annoying. They will absolutely mess with you there. But of course, this is the hardest actually is the good end of story. People say princes, and people say Pontiff and dancer. Nope, it's just the dogs. They have a ridiculous tracking and aggression. They stagger you on almost every successful hit. They do little back steps, which makes them impossible to get counterattacks on. And yeah, they're just really frustrating. I played this game a ton of times, and I knew that there was an illusory wall in this area, but I definitely was confused about where it was. The answer is not there. So anyway, we're going to keep going down into this really dark building. This place is kind of creepy, and it's somewhat dangerous because all these invisible guys are all down here to gank you. Weirdly, they're almost easier to see in the darkness, though, as opposed to normally lighted areas, well-lit areas, where you can really only see their eyes because the way that the shadow textures kind of disappear in highlight. Because the dark actually almost makes them better, so I feel like some people are going to be like frustrated by watching me play through this area because I'm just taking a lot of unnecessary hits. The biggest reason why is, like, yes, I'm playing very sloppy, but I think what's important to understand is that I'm not trying to, like, speedrun this. I'm not trying to do any sort of strat where I get from one area straight to the boss in, like, the shortest amount of time humanly possible. I'm more doing a little bit of exploring, trying to pick up, extra souls along the way, stuff like that. So whereas, yes, I'm taking a decent amount of unnecessary hits and, like, burning up Estus, it's fine, because I know that I'm going straight to a bonfire anyway. If you were doing any type of, like, speed running, where you needed to get straight to Pontiff or to Yorm, straight from here, then you would obviously want to just run through here and avoid taking any hits whatsoever. But I'm not doing anything like that in this run, so it's not a concern. You can see it's been a while since I fully explored this area because I'm forgetting where certain things and items are. That area you can use to drop down on the caster down below, then you skip the stair section, and you skip this section here. I think there's actually, yeah, no, there is a chest here. I thought I forgot it for a second. It's the Yorshka Spear item. I can't actually use that on this build because number one, not enough dex, and number two, not enough faith. Neither one of those are going to be something that I actually level into. Claudette's build for this run started out as a knight, so she has pretty high strength and vitality and vigor naturally. Everything else you have to level into. Anytime you know that you want to use a specific weapon or build, it's probably best just to know what class gives you the most amount of that stat to start out with. See, there's that laser wall I was looking for earlier. So like if you're gonna go dex, then it's probably best to go sellsword. If you're going strength, then knight or warrior. Assassin can also be really good for dex now that I think about it. Obviously, if you want to do any type of magic, then it just depends on what kind. If you're trying to do a miracle build, then cleric. If you want some sort of healing, then herald. If you want to be a sorcerer, then obviously you have to start sorcerer. Nothing else gives you enough intelligence. If you don't know, though, like if you just have no clue blood gem's important, we're gonna stick that in the exile greatsword later in the run after we get the I think it's the profaned coal from Profane Capital by but anytime you don't know, or like you just want to have as many options as possible for leveling into different itemization or abilities, it's best to start out as deprived. You won't start out with any armor, which some people think is annoying, but as long as you have some proficiency and familiarity with the game, it's not hard to get through the starting section without any armor. There's the Pontiff+Aldritch behind us. Want to get through here as quickly as possible to avoid him. And then I want to say you find your first armor set fairly early on high wall, and even if you don't want to wait that long, then you can just buy the I think chain armor from the Shrine Handmaiden as soon as you get there. So we always want to light the Distant Manor bonfire. It's the safest one that offers us the least amount of run back as we progress towards Pontiff. The Church of Yorska bonfire will not give us access to Pontiff until we open the shortcut from his fog wall, which we won't get to for a bit here. As you'll see, I just wanted to grab these items back. I knew that the hound couldn't catch me from there. He's pretty scripted in terms of how fast he moves and where he goes and everything like that. A lot of people really don't like these, I think they're called centipedes, the sewer centipedes, just because they look like extremely creepy. They're actually like not terribly dangerous enemies. I say as I just completely chimp out and take a completely unnecessary hit. But you see that even with me taking like a super unnecessary hit, it still does absolutely minimal damage. Their toxic is what makes them dangerous, which is why the ones down in the Profaned Capital are much more dangerous than these guys, because I'm not actually accumulating toxic from the environment, only from certain attacks that they do. But they just do extremely minimal damage. Plus, they'll almost always lead with like that big open-chested attack, and you can actually stagger them if you get a proper hit on them from there. Probably because all of their chest bones are completely exposed to you. This is where you'll find Grey Rat's ashes if you sent him here before you rescue Onion Burrow from Cathedral of the Deep. I haven't let him go on that pillaging run yet, though, because I haven't rescued Onion Burrow. I messed up the ordering of certain bosses that I did, and so I can't find patches, and because I can't find patches, I can't get Onion Burrow out of the well. If I had, he would be right next to that fireplace right there. So I'll have to go back and fix that later. That's annoying. I don't like that joke. I'm gonna fight these knights and catch you. So I think I mentioned my Xbox One will only capture 10-minute sequences at a time, so you probably saw a cut there, which is a little bit sad because that night fight against the Silver Knights that are all in that building was actually really clean. Wish you could have seen that. This clip I left in only because I think it's really funny. I think the young white tree branch is like a really funny item, and I think it's cool to see the different terrain pieces that it'll turn you into depending on where you are. Here in Ithryll, it only turns you into like a couple statues, so it's like a little Pied Piper dude. Totally doesn't work though, which is also hilarious. I think you still have to like sneak by them and sneak in a certain way whatsoever. There's the dog's final bosses again. Yeah, it's just a funny clip, I think. Yeah, but this is the section right after that building where we just left off. You just kill those Silver Knights, and then there's a couple boxes or chests around. And then you come straight up this staircase. The shield works really well against dogs too. Any shield that's large enough to give you like a decent amount of poise will stop them mid-pounce as long as it's not like one of those wraparound pounces. I think I die here. Yeah, I kind of just like chimp out, and I don't know, sometimes I'm too aggro with like standard non-boss enemies, and it's not that any one of them is like strong enough to kill you on their own, it's just that it's really easy if you let yourself get surrounded in certain areas, to get stun locked, and then, yeah. So, obviously you want to avoid that normally, but like I said, I'm really not trying to like do a perfect speed run or like no hit, no death or anything like that. I'm literally just like running through, experimenting with like a build that I wouldn't normally do, because almost all of my builds are almost never include shields, and even the ones that do are like parry shields. So that's the only point of what we're doing here. Alright, so this transition, we made it all the way up out of the staircase area, and this is getting through. I opened up the shortcut. Didn't get a recording of that part, but that's okay. This is my first Pontiff attempt. Pontiff is notoriously my worst boss in the entire game. Dancer, princes, even most of the DLC bosses I find just infinitely easier than Pontiff. I don't really know what it is. I'm really bad at predicting his attacks, and his level of aggression always catches me off guard. Like his level of pursuit and how many attacks are in his combos. I think it's because he moves like deceptively slowly. They just went down right there. He moves like deceptively slowly whenever he opens, or whenever he's like transitioning from place to place. But then he is actually really fast and has a lot of aggression in his combos. So Pontiff, I'm just really bad at. Normally, I know that he has really easy to parry attacks, but I'm just not the best at parrying, if I'm being 100% honest. It's not a huge skill of mine. I've been trying to get better. I have another run that I'm doing right now, where I'm trying to parry as many things as I can, and I'm getting better at it, but I'm still not the best at it. And honestly, it doesn't really matter because I don't really have a build that's optimized for parrying. Right here, I'm trying to kind of just tank things up with the full poise build. So yeah, this is Pontiff attempt number 2. I seem to recall this one going a little bit better. Just for longer. I also, I don't know, I never remember his attack. Like, I never remember his combos. Most other bosses in the game, I have, like, a pretty good memory of like what they do and what their combos are and how to like play against them. For whatever reason, Pontiff is just like right in a weird middle spot of the game. Like right in between, depending on how you do things, either in between Deacon and Aldritch or Wilmir and Aldritch. And like either way, I don't usually spend a lot of time in Ithryll. Like this is usually one of the sections of the game that I spend the least amount of time on. And so for whatever reason, I just never remember like how Pontiff works. I know that we don't beat her or him. I've heard that it's a her before, so I'm not really sure to be honest. I know that we don't beat them on this run, but I do get rid of phase 2, which is nice. Anyway, we have to Google Pontiff now, because that's more lovely. One of the cool things about this like Anor thing in phase 2 is that they actually telegraph Pontiff's next move, so whatever the Angel does is what Pontiff's about to do, which only helps if you actually manage to dodge successfully out of Heather. That is super accurate. I think this is where I died. Yeah. That I was expecting Pontiff to go for that slash and roll under it, but instead he did the downward. And so, as a rule of thumb, in these games, downward, I guess, smashes, for lack of a better term, track a lot better than, like, horizontal slashes, just for whatever reason. I'm not really sure why, to be honest, but they just track a lot better. So you usually have to be more careful about when you roll to iframe through it. If you're not familiar with what an iframe is, then it's basically the portion of the animation within either roll or parry during which your character can't take any damage. So, like, at the beginning of your roll and at the end of your roll, I think I chimp out and die to these Pontiff Knights here because I'm trying to Ember so that I can summon Phantoms, but I want to clear the area of top first. I'm pretty sure I just go way too aggro. So anyway, at the beginning and end of either a roll or a parry animation, you're still vulnerable to take damage, but like the portion of the animation in the middle where you're invulnerable, those are your iframes. So I would say like 85% of mastering Dark Souls is becoming familiar with, depending on your build, what weapon you're using, what shield you're using, things like that, what your iframes are. That's honestly like the most important thing to learn with this game. At this point, I have conceded that I'm not going to be able to beat Pontiff by myself, which is unfortunate because I was definitely trying to go through this entire run without summoning any Phantoms at all. I made it through every boss up to this point without summoning Phantoms, but I wanted to get to Aldritch in this video, so I figured that it was worth just swallowing my pride and just summoning Henri and Black Hand. Honestly, I'm being way more aggressive here than I need to be. I have no idea how I survived that. I must have had literally 1 HP. Being way more aggro than I need to be here, because honestly, if you just wait at the top of the stairs for a little bit, I'm worried that one of those invisible guys is still up here. If you just wait at the top of the stairs out of the Invisible Hollow's aggro range, then you can actually just wait for the Pontiff Knights to walk down that opposite staircase over there. So here I ember so that I can summon, and I summon Blackhand Gothard, I believe is the politically correct way to say it. The Blackhand's lores are kind of interesting. I don't think the Souls games get too much into them, but they seem like semi-interesting characters. I got confused because I think it's Londo Paleshade's summon sign that's in front of that that's in front of that statue if you're following with the Lord of Hollows quest line, but I failed that from the get-go because I killed Yoel, so Henri's summon sign is actually over there. I love how Blackhand was, or Gothard was literally just sitting here getting destroyed by the Pontiff Knight while I was doing that. I think I was checking the status of the recording to make sure that I had time left. I didn't want to... Or I was restarting the recording so that I didn't run out. That's what you have to do. You can record in 10-minute increments. I have a much better start there, just to actually fully block that opening attack. And at this point, I'm getting... I say as I take a hit. At this point, I'm getting a little bit more used to Pontiff's moveset once again. Not that it matters, because I have 2 Phantoms here to just take up his attention in this particular fight. Playing with Phantoms, it's like its own challenge, though, because most of the time they'll aggro him. But then you also have to learn how to dodge his abilities. And this goes for almost any boss. A lot of bosses in this game especially have just massive area effect attacks. One of them. And so, even when you're playing with Phantoms, obviously it makes it easier, there's no question about that. That's why they exist. But you have to learn how to dodge attacks even when you're not the target of them, which is different because you're like seeing the attack from a different angle and perspective. I think the boss I struggled with that the most at is Abyss Watchers, which is funny because you even have to summon like Phantoms and not a problem. Just when like the second and third Abyss Watcher walks into the room during phase 1, they can super easily start hitting you even on the other side. You start getting hit by attacks that might be hitting. Sure. I get confused in this fight sometimes because I look at the purple one and I expect it to be the actual Pontiff, but then the actual Pontiff is actually in the back at this point. A little confusing. You've seen me charting Estus a lot, and I don't necessarily mean to because it's kind of helpful. That's because I have Boyd's Sword Ring equipped, which means that when I'm at full HP, I do extra damage. So I usually Estus a little bit early. I've gotten every shard up to this point in the game, so I'm not really concerned about... Oh yes, Lydia's lovely face. So I'm not really concerned about conservation too much, especially not in a fight like that one, where with the Phantoms, I knew that we had that fight. These are the most annoying crystal lizards in the game because they're right next to each other. Normally, if there's more than one lizard in an area, you just, like, go to the furthest one, and then come back to the other one so that one of them doesn't escape. But these two are literally right next to each other, so there's just actually no way to do that. It's always frustrating. It means you always have to come back at least once to this area. Though, as you'll see for us, that's not too much of a problem. If you're unfamiliar with this area, always keep moving through it. Never stop sprinting, because there's about a billion deacons up there who want to throw fire at you. And then never fight the Drang twins until you get into this building. I always try to separate them if I can. That doesn't really happen in this fight, unfortunately. Well, I mean, I get some good opening hits off on this guy, but then he definitely trades the damage back to me. Using this little opening combined with the staircase for drop attacks is really good, though. I missed that one, which is annoying, and then this guy nearly kills me with his just infinite. I think those are hammers. I don't remember if they're called maces or hammers, but it's probably also a good idea to, like, just kite these guys out until the magic buff is off of their weapons. I don't do that, and I kind of get lucky because I managed to hit both of them, and then his runs out, and I think I kill him before he manages to use it again. Yeah, I got really lucky with that drop hit because I managed to do the damage to both of them. You actually pick up the Drang Twin Hammers back in Ithryll, not here. And now you're going to see who the true bosses of Anor Londo are. You thought we were coming here to fight Aldritch. No, 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 no. Aldritch is easy. I speak of the true bosses. Yep. There it is. Massive arrow from stage left. Just instantly taken out the game. Yeah, those Silver Knights that are all over there, making their encore performance from the original Dark Souls game up in Anor Londo. Like I said, I told you we'd be back through here. I actually forget it first, though. I forget that I didn't get both lizards. And so I have to do a quick little turnaround there. Yeah, those Silver Knights, they honestly are the boss of the area. They can just mess up your run back so much. You'll see that again in a little bit here once we get to the bonfire at the base of Aldritch. You'll see in a minute. So there are 6 giant bodies here, only 2 of them are actually alive. You're going to see one of them that are. Not because we actually get too close to it. They'll wake up if you get too close to them. I don't, because I'm running on the opposite side of the statues, but one of the deacons' fireballs actually hits him and wakes him up. Oof, almost hits me too. Yeah, I remember my first time, my first ever run through on this game, coming to this area. I think I died more here than I did on any single boss. Just because I didn't, oh god. Don't look at that. I don't know why I thought you could make that jump. You definitely can't, and you've never been able to. That's just me wanting to get out of the arrow range as fast as possible and not engaging my brain as a result. There's a mimic up on the second floor of this building. I don't actually get to it in this recording because I don't go up and around past the deacons on that area on the other side of this opening. But if you run up to the left of the church over here, you can get to where the deacons are, and he does it again here. Gets hit with another fireball. Yeah, but you can run past where they are, and then back into the upper floor of the cathedral where you fight Pontiff. And there's a mimic up there. I think he gives you some sort of talisman, which I definitely do not have use for with this build. Claudette is not a magical individual. Yeah, that time I actually used my brain and remembered, hey, you can't go that way. There's a pillar in your way. This part up ahead is probably one of my favorite parts of this entire run. Not because it's good in any way. It definitely isn't. It's just funny. I completely forgot this guy's here. So you got to sneak up behind him and backstab him and send him over the edge. Which is exactly what happens. That all happens perfectly. But then he lives. And I'm salty about that. So I go to firebomb him, but I have no firebombs left because I wasted them all earlier in the run. So I'm like, huh, what projectiles do I have? I have throwing knives. And so I am sitting here trying to use throwing knives to send him over the edge, only he just won't go over the edge, and he keeps getting these shots on me over and over again. Some of them literally, like that one, they literally just pierce the terrain, and it doesn't make sense. And it looks like he should be staggering and like falling over the edge, but he's not. You literally can't. You cannot stagger a Silver Knight with a throwing knife, as it turns out. Even if you like spam throw them like I do here in a second, and he just keeps hitting me with those over and over and over again. I don't know, I just got a good laugh out of this. Rapid fire throwing them. He staggers there and he still doesn't go over the edge. Unbelievable. And then I'm like, okay, well, I'll just kill him. And then I run out of throwing knives, and he has like an ounce of health left. And I'm very sad. Claudette is very sad in this moment, because she does not think that she will be able to kill him. Then I remembered I had a longbow on me, and I don't even... Oh, I do meet the requirements for it at this point. I forgot I had put a couple levels into Dex for an item that we'll use later on in the run. Earlier on, I literally didn't have the Dex requirements for even the most basic longbow. So yeah, anyway, that was the most comical Silver Knight fight on the face of the planet, which we apparently thought justified a jump for joy there. Then I gotta come around and backstab this person. Don't do it. Fail. Immediate fail. And I'm running out of Estus thanks to how many arrows I took in a lost instance. Managed to backstab them there, though. Charged R2. Does the trick. Not even fully charged. Charged it for a second. I always forget about this guy standing over here. He's a sneaky bugger. And he transitions his weapons super quickly. All the Silver Knights do, actually. All the Silver Knights with bows have swords and shields also, and they just make a quick switch so quickly. Way more quickly than any character, even like on PC, would be able to do. You could choose to fight these two, and it would be pretty easy to get a backstab on this guy to start it out with. I just don't feel like dealing with a melee guy with a guaranteed knockback great bow wielder at the same time. That guy says illustrate wall. I know that to be a lie. I know for a fact that is simply not true. So, we've made it to the giant contraption tower. The spin wheel of death. Keep an eye on that tower. That'll be important in just a second here. Running, running, running. You gotta say one thing for Claudette. Her face may leave something to be desired, but you know what? She's got absolute legs of steel. And probably arms too, based on the size of that shield. That is a face only a mother could love. But we love our Claudette for her personality and her axe arm. That's why we love her. So, we're not actually going to Aldritch just yet, but I get the bonfire just so we have to travel back to in a minute. I don't actually need the rest here. The area we're going to isn't dangerous, but I kind of do it just out of a force of habit more than anything else. And you see me take the silver cat ring just in case. You'll see why in a moment here. Then I try to push the contraption from the same direction I already pushed it from, which is not how physics works. Which, you know, a video game wouldn't necessarily know, but sometimes video games decide that logic is still important. Not always, but sometimes. So, Claudette is going to run to her death. Oh wait, no. This is how, if you don't know, you get to the prison tower, which is on top of the Church of Yorshka. Again, force of habit. I absolutely... There's no reason for me to rest there, but I do. And then here, I join the Blades of the Dark Moon Covenant. I left all this audio in. I'm not super sure why. I think I just thought it was interesting. I like her lore for whatever reason.
Swear by the covenant.
There's a lot of different fan theories connecting her to like Gwendolyn and stuff like that.
A blade that shall hunt the foes of
so I decided to not skip past her dialogue and stuff. Plus she seems lonely and sad, so I figured why not have an actual conversation with her. Anyway, this is the Blade of the Dark Moon's Covenant, which is a lot like Blue Sentinels, only you can defend and invade, which is kind of nice. Yeah, that's how you get there. You gotta take the tower back down and then run off the second little bridge that goes off towards the church. Run in a straight line. You can run off the edge and still die if you try hard enough. So run in a straight line and then just drop down onto this. I always wonder how like the first few people who were playing this game, like beta testers and stuff, people who didn't have guides or anything to go off of, how on earth they figured out how to get here. I don't, they must have thought there was some trick or something. I don't know what possessed the first person who ever did that to be like, oh, I'll just walk off the edge of this ledge, and then it worked. I think that's super funny. Running around the outside, because I don't remember whether or not there's an item there. There's not. But then, you get back to the Church of Yorshka bonfire by going this way. Normally, most of these falls, would give you some minimal fall damage, but I have the Silver Cat Ring equipped. Mainly because not for like the fall damage from level to level, because that's minimal. Mainly because you can, if you're not careful, miss a fall entirely and just fall all the way to the bottom, or just further than you'd want to, and that fall damage will kill you. So, Silver Cat Ring, just in case. And then this tower will take us back down to the Church of Yorshka. And then we'll take that bonfire back up to the Inner Londo bonfire in order to fight Aldritch. So, see you back up there in just a second. I don't know what that summon sign was. I've literally never seen that summon sign there before. Plus, I'm not embered, so I'm not really sure what it was. It was red. I feel like maybe it has something to do with one of the invasion Concords that I've never gone down those quest lines. I've never done like Rosario's Fingers or the Mountain Makers or anything like that. I'm not terribly good at PvP. And I think you need to be better at PvP than I am to have success in those particular covenants. Those are more of those bosses that I was talking about. The spear guy and the sword silver knight on those stairs. You have to know like exactly where to dodge them or they will mess up your day. And they honestly are the final boss here, because ironically, for as much difficulty as I have with Pontiff, I traditionally have a pretty easy time with Aldritch. It's one of the bosses that I'm pretty good at in general. But you know, something that you have to keep in mind with every single boss is it's not just the boss itself, it's also the run back to the boss. Like, if you die, how long does it take you to get from the nearest bonfire, and how dangerous is that path? That's the more important thing. Like, you have to run for a long way, boo-hoo, but how dangerous is that run back from the bonfire to back to the boss room? Because if you get hit by anything, then you have to presumably use Estus on it, and that's Estus that we now don't have for a boss fight, which just makes it infinitely more dangerous. So that's why I say those Silver Knights are actually the bosses here. I don't know why locking on to Aldritch there. Aldritch is one of the few bosses that actually behooves you to not lock onto, because of the way that his hitbox works. He's a massive hitbox, easily one of the largest ones in the game. That tail, it's not actually a tail, it's like his distinct stomach from all the humans that he's eaten. Gods too. So yeah, this fight goes pretty well. Spoiler alert, we don't really engage the time to do some bad luck, but the fight goes pretty well, at least at the start. We're getting the second phase really easily. It's that combo is really hard. You always want to try and stand close to Aldritch and force him to use melee attacks, because when he starts throwing spells, especially when he starts comboing them, it's extremely dangerous, particularly this barrel thing, which tracks you forever, combined with his massive soul spear, which he throws at you, does a lot of damage. And these like little fairy things also do a lot of damage. Ironically, all that being said, I actually died with melee attacks because I wasn't paying attention. All of you PC players are looking at my load screens, laughing at me and my poor little console life. I know it's sad. It's not run back I'm talking about. That spear guy can also nearly one-shot you if he hits you with that opening lunge, which is obviously not what you want. I actually could run down to this little area down below me, down below this corner right here, and open up the big door. That would make the run back a little bit easier. But number one, you risk getting hit more by the enemies that are in here, because outside of the deacons throwing fireballs, there's also a lot of the slime things on the ground, and there's also one of those cursed spiders like the one in Ithryll that's right by the level. So it's kind of dangerous. Plus, I'm fairly, like I said, I'm fairly confident in my ability. I'm fairly confident in my ability to beat Aldritch. So I don't feel like I need to hold up the shortcut for the round back, which is a little bit cocky if I'm being honest. I don't get punished for it in this instance, but if you're unsure of your ability to beat a boss, then just open the shortcuts. If it means that you die or you have to reset it on fire one more time and take on the boss, then that's okay. That's what the shortcut is for. It almost feels too easily. I'm literally just standing there. It's pretty dark. Especially when I have the lights active. Or not something active. I actually did really bad on hitting a decent portion of the rest of this fight. Like I said, you really want Aldritch to be doing close range attacks, not their ranged attacks, because their ranged attacks just do way more damage. But he just spams his spells at me for a lot of it. He really gets me with a couple of them. And yeah, for a while. That's pretty much a worst case scenario. That's pretty much a worst case scenario with Aldritch, is spamming. He's getting the ability spam. You really want to be able to close to gap close with Aldritch and get in melee range and force them to use their spear as soon as possible. It's usually a little bit easier to hit because, as I just eat this spear, it's usually a little bit easier to hit because typically, whenever Aldritch teleports like that, it will always appear on the opposite side of the room, so you usually start running that direction. Well, I found it Aldritch. You can usually start running that direction, and on the new location before they get there. Actually get them as they go to the teleport, which is nice. You see I Estus them, and that's because these fairy lights can actually still kill you after the boss is dead, which is not something that you want. But yeah, we did it. Hey guys, I just wanted to say a real quick thank you to anybody who watches these videos. I know they're not the most beautifully edited thing on the face of the planet, but this is something I wanted to try out for a really long time. Something I enjoy doing, and since we're all locked away in our homes and have nothing better to do than explore strange reaches of the internet, I figured why not give it a shot. So if anybody is watching these enjoying them, then feel free to leave it a like and tell me if you like the live commentary or the voiceover added on after the fact. And I will see you guys in the next one.